What is going on, everyone? In this video, we're going to talk about releasing the hips, the hip joint. That means where our femur and our pelvis meet. And we're not going to go much over the quads or the hamstrings. We'll cover a few videos about those, but more on the adductors and the abductors and things that rotate the hip joint. And the first thing we want to do is create some changes in the tissue itself. I have a rumble roller here. You can use any foam roller, but the more it digs in that you can handle, the better. You might even use a PVC pipe. So I'm going to take this and a sturdy platform like a stepper. It can be a bench, anything that's not going to give. And I'm going to straddle this stepper. I'm going to go this way, have the foam roller underneath me. Now, I'm sitting on this foam roller. I'm not sitting on the stepper. I'm putting and keeping my weight on this foam roller. What we're going to do here is rotate the leg that's on the roller so that the knee is pointing forward and the foot's going back. So here, I'm going to get the inner thigh muscle. So this is, for me personally, the best angle to get into it. You can do it, some of it on the floor lying down, but in this position, we can put a lot of weight, and I can play around with a little rotation, usually somewhere really high up, close to the groin. You're gonna find some stuff. You hold and breathe and just let it sink in. A lot of people, when they foam roll, they don't realize they're tensing up. It takes some time to relax into it. But we also want to allow the foam roller to dig in deep, slowly, as far as possible to create some change. So what we're doing here as well, I'm gonna do a little pumping as I hold, just to create a little bit of a tack and stretch. And what foam rolling is doing is bringing some hydration back to the muscle, to the tissue, the fascia as well. But we are also releasing some of that extra tension that builds up. So the overpressure helps release some of that muscle. So when I find a point here, I might stay here 5 minutes, maybe longer, until I feel some changes happen. A lot of people just move around. Okay, I'm good. Next one, don't do that. Create some changes. So then you go into the other side. You can also get creative with this one and use anything that you can find, like a railing or a parallel. And you will also find the area close to your knee to be pretty tight as well. And I can do the same thing, hold and pump. The only downside with this one, I can like really dig in with something like this, is now I have to hold my own body weight up a lot more. So I get a little bit more tired just suspending in the air like this. But this definitely helps to get in a little bit more if you find something that's a little bit smaller and a little bit harder. And now that we did the inner thigh, now we're gonna get into the outside, but we're not gonna do the IT band. You know, that kind of takes care of itself when you do the quads and the hamstrings. We're gonna get into the posterior hip and the lateral hip here. We're gonna use a ball. Now you can start with a tennis ball. It's a little bit softer, but eventually you're gonna want to work up to something pretty hard. This is a lacrosse ball. The first point right here, pretty simple. We're just gonna lie down and lift the hips to put the ball on our glutes. Now here, what we really want to get, if my pelvis line is here, so that the top edge of the bone is here, we're gonna get right below it to where the muscles begin. So I'm really high up on this position, and I search sideways slowly. When I find a spot, I hold, and same thing as before, we sink in, don't move, just breathe into that spot, dissipates, the pain goes away. So you're gonna keep going like that, scoot it down a little bit more, and I keep working down the height of the glute, finding spots. I find another spot, I can hold. Once you get towards the middle of the glute, you can play around with your leg position by bringing that leg up. Maybe you feel a little bit different there, or bringing the knee in, and maybe you feel a lot more there, like right there, I got a spot, and I'm just gonna hold, breathe until it dissipates. The next one, we go sideways because the angles of the glute are different. The hip is a little bit more broad. So right here, lift the hips up again and put it on the butt cheek. So I'm still in the butt cheek, but more on the side of the butt cheek here in this position. So I'm gonna find a spot, slowly moving. I have this top leg planted behind me, both knees are bent. I'm just resting my head here on my arm. Once I find a spot here, we can do a little tack and stretch. So my knee of the bottom leg where the glute is attached to, I bring it slowly up and down. Let's try not to go too fast here. I'm gonna really feel that dig in, and then we bring it back down. So I want you to enjoy the ride, okay? Don't just suffer through it and get through it. Then the last spot here, it's not the glute, but the TFL. And that is where the glute comes in and becomes a T-band from the backside. The TFL becomes a T-band from a little bit more of the front side of the hip. So to find it, to make sure you're in the right spot, you can put your hand here somewhere where my pocket starts, and I just going to slide my foot sideways, and I should feel a muscle contract here. If I don't feel anything, like I'm not really feeling much, maybe move around. Oh, now I really feel it. I can press in with those tip of the fingers, but when you're not in the right spot, you're not gonna feel anything pop out. You're gonna feel the muscle push you away when you do this contraction here, okay? So I don't even have to slide the foot. I just have the foot stay in place, and I try to move my leg, and I feel that muscle pop. So that's where I'm gonna put the ball. Once again, going on the side. Hopefully you can see the ball right there. And you find the spot, very small movements, very slowly, to find that tenderness. And I'm just gonna hold right there. Here, we can't really move too much. You can try lifting it, but I find that actually makes it contract more instead of relax. So we're gonna find it and hold. Maybe even rotating to play around with the angle might help to find the best spot. Again, little changes, moving around half inch at a time will find you new spots as well. And now we get our stretches. So the first one here is a classic figure four, but there's a little tip here that's gonna make it a lot better. Now I'm gonna take one leg over the other like I'm sitting cross-legged, so my ankle's over the thigh. Grab around the thigh if your mobility is pretty limited, but interlace your fingers so your hands, your grip don't get tired. If it's not too bad, then we go around the shin. I'm gonna do it here first. Now, when people pull, they usually do this. So notice how my pelvis, my sacrum, came off the floor like, oh yeah, I'm getting a big stretch. Look how close my legs are to my chest. We don't want to do that. We want to keep the sacrum on the floor to maximize the stretch where we actually want it to be. So the sacrum stays on the floor. That means I need to contract my lower back muscles to keep that down as I pull. All right, that gets better. I grab the hands around the shin and pull there. When you're holding stretches, 4 minutes per stretch each day, 5 days a week for at least 8 weeks to create some changes. Once you feel like you're in a good position, like you've made enough changes, then you can stop doing the stretches so often. Now, there are a lot of different stretches you can find for the inner thigh out in the internet or any book, stretching book. This is one of my favorites because we're getting a little bit of more load and we're actually moving a little bit more how we want to use those muscles. We're gonna need some weight. Start a little bit light. It's just enough weight to give you some feedback in the positions. And I'm gonna start in a half kneel position. So one knee down, one leg up. The up leg, we're gonna bring it out 90 degrees to the side. The foot's gonna open up. If this is too intense because you're really tight, then bring it in a little bit. But let's try to keep that foot pointing the same direction as the thigh. Now the setup for the pelvis and the lower back here is very important. A lot of people tend to start hyperextending and letting their lower back sink down or forward. What we want to do, we're going to grab this weight, tuck that tailbone a little bit here, staying tall, and the arms are straight. just letting that weight hang. So we don't want to start pulling up like this with our arms. Just push the weight down, right? So that's the side view there. From here, now I'm going to shift my whole body weight here. It's not my head and shoulders. It's not just my hips. I'm going to set and shift my whole weight towards that leg. Okay. Now, if you feel like it's your ankle limiting you a little bit more than the actual groin or inner thigh, just get that foot further out. And now we sink, and now I'm going to feel it. Whether you feel it on the top leg or the bottom leg, it doesn't really matter, but you're going to feel it in the inner thigh groin area, all right? Don't lose that position. It's very important. A lot of people start losing it because they want to go like, oh yeah, I want to get that big stretch and go down, but now they just dump their lower back. So don't try to look more stretchy than you actually are. Don't worry about it. Just sink slowly. You find your spot where you find that tension, hold, and focus on your breathing. In through the nose, into the belly, out through the mouth, slowly. Hold for 5 breaths. At the end of those 5 breaths, see if you can go further because your nervous system relaxed and it's going to let you go a little bit more. Same thing. Breathe 5 times again. If it's already getting pretty intense, then come out of that. But if you can handle going a little deeper again, go a little deeper. And that I'm already feeling pretty intense there. And I would take another 5 breaths and then finally come out of that. One thing to look out for is when we are shifting over, making sure we can always see the inside of the foot if we look down. So if the knee goes here, notice how my knee collapses inward, I can't see my foot anymore. I want this to be open. I want the hip to be open, so the knee is going to be a little bit to the outside of that foot as you do the stretch. Now that we created some changes in the tissue with some foam rolling, some self-massage, and some stretching, let's mobilize the joints a little bit more. Now this one is something that it's pretty popular here, lying down and doing this thing, but a lot of people do this incorrectly where they let the hip come up. And what we want to do here is keep that butt cheek down as we rotate as far as we can. And that's as far as I go. I got some hip issues, especially on this left leg here, and I'm going to try to rotate as far as possible there. When you're doing this, if you feel any pain, make sure you stop before you feel that pain. So we want to move the joint painlessly. After that one, we're going to get on the hands and knees, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Find your neutral spine position. I'm going to get one leg straight back, keeping that neutral spine. And now that bottom knee, I'm going to windshield wiper, keeping pressure through the knee. And notice how my pelvis is not moving. I'm not doing this, all right? My lower back isn't moving either. I'm squeezing as far as I can into each direction. So now I'm starting to build some strength and some control in this position. And then once we have our hips moving a little bit better, we have better control. We want to make sure we're still using those muscles in our strength training. So a really good exercise for the inner thighs is doing our lateral squats. And I like to have that foot point up as we do this. You can use something like TRX straps or a wall, column, a stepper to help take some weight off so you hold on to it so it becomes a little bit easier. But just going up and down and always having that knee that you load pointing a little bit towards that pinky toe of the foot and not collapsing it inward. All right, so that gets that. On those hips, when we do any rotation work, any chops with cables, things like that, want to make sure we're pivoting the feet. And now notice how I'm getting internal rotation on the legs as we move. And then also incorporating some more external rotation work. You can do any type of like curtsy lunge where that loads a little bit more. Any squat and lunge variations where you change directions, different ways, making sure we can feel that glute load, even single leg work, stretching that out will help keeping your muscles and hips in a better position. And there you have it. These are very basic things that you can do to improve your hips and open up your hips. Are there more things you can do? Yes. Are there things to do in between those steps? There definitely are. That way, if you feel, oh, going into that strength stuff doesn't feel great, there can be things you can do to build up to it. And that's why you need to check out a certified professional that can help you build up in person and assess you really well. But give those a try and let me know how it goes.